One second.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Library TechCast. Today on the episode, we are going to talk about RFID and the different aspects of that and how it can benefit the library, examine the cost, and we're going to do, Riley's going to do a review on a barcode reader um, and how much he likes it or dislikes it, I guess. My name is Jeffrey Sable. I'll be co-hosting here today. I am the Electronic Resources and Systems Librarian at Marymount University, California, on the beautiful Peninsula Coast. I'll throw it over to my co-host Riley, and he'll go ahead and introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Riley Childs. I air from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a high school student at Charlotte United Christian Academy, and I'm in charge of all things library and most things IT at my school. I really enjoy libraries and how all the pieces fit together, from the books on the shelf to the racks in the data center. Okay, well, what do you want to start off with today?
So yeah, let's just hop into your review. So I guess you could sort of tell them how you came into possession of this barcode reader and sort of you know what motivated you to get one and the basic use that I think you're doing inventory, right? Is that one of the basic uses?
Yes, we're doing inventory, and about a month ago I put a post out on Code for Lib saying, hey, I'm looking for a barcode reader that I can do inventory with. What do you recommend? I've been looking at these Bluetooth ones, but they're all out of this world expensive, and I don't have the budget for them. And I'm gonna be honest, this one's still a little expensive. It's about $350 to $400. It's
So
compared to it's a
Riley,
little.
hey Riley, so most of the ones that barcode readers that have Bluetooth are similarly priced or even higher.
Well, actually, a lot of the ones that have Bluetooth are pretty pricey. Ones that are this form factor run about anywhere between $300 and $500. But Bluetooth handheld ones will run about, I'm gonna be honest, almost $800. They're pricey little things.
Ah.
And oh, yeah, I know. They're pricey little things. But also, how I came in possession of this. Um, so I put that post down on Code for Lib, and then a company called Carolina Barcode found me through my blog, and they were like, "Hey, we'll send you a free one if you review it." And I was like, "Okay, I guess. What's the catch?" And they were like, "There's no catch. We'll be more than happy to give one to your school if you give your honest and thorough review of it." So I'm going to be posting a review on my blog in about a couple weeks once I play with this a little bit more and figure it out. Now there is. I've been using it for the past week. It's very good. It's really fast. This is they have two models. This one is the 2D model, and yeah. And here I'll see if you could see that. Yeah, see that's what it is, and it's basically this thing can read QR codes and regular barcodes. And the great thing about it is if the barcode's all scratched up, it can read it. If it's like really faded, it can read it. It's pretty great. And it's oh, can you
Have you tried using the vibrate function?
the vibrate? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It works really well.
Yeah, because I mean
You can turn
that's
on. Yeah, you can turn off the beep and just let it vibrate. I like the beep because the vibrate kind of it doesn't bug my hand. But when you're scanning 100 books every hour and putting them into a little cataloging system, where is that there? And see, it's this one's decently fast. And there's a couple modes on it. Then this one is the standard laser one.
does that do QR codes as well?
It does not. This one's
Okay.
just a standard 1D barcode. It does all the normal ones like that. But one of the great things about this one is, hang on, let me enable it, is if you're really, you can enable something called the continue mode, which means the laser will stay on continuously and it will just scan whatever comes into its path. And if you got a lot of books to do, this is really good. Hang on, let me turn it. I logged a scan every second, and I was able to run it for 60 seconds, and I was able to scan 200 barcodes in about 10 minutes. So
Wow.
it's, yeah, I mean, it's fast. It's fast. Um, it connects to an iPad. Um, it can interface with all sorts of web applications. It's got an Android, an iOS, and actually a Windows SDK. I'm going to just kind of show you. Hang on a little. That's not what I want. It comes with this nice little Windows SDK. You can build programs with it, and this one just kind of here. And let me, where'd that go? Oh, that's a different one. I have it connected to the other one. You can make it do all sorts of stuff and all that, and that's just showing you all the scans. But one of the really neat things is it's got this display here, right? You can put information on that. Where's my mouse? You see that? You can put
Yeah.
information on that. So it can hook into, say, Koa. If you write a program, it can hook into Koa, and when you scan a barcode, it can show you all the information on it. You can write an iPad app that will interface with Koa, and when you scan it, it will automatically go out to Koa and then just put the information on here. And you don't have to take out your iPhone to look at it. It will just pop all the information on there,
That
which
is
is
cool.
something that I'm going to work on and hopefully get up there. Um, but I mean, they're great things. They're really durable. They're uh,
Have you tested the battery life?
yes, actually, I was just about to get to that. The battery life on them, the last they rated for 12 hours, and that's assuming 12 scans per hour. Of course, that's not really realistic. I've gotten, I mean, scanning about 100 barcodes per hour, I've gotten about 9 hours of battery life, which isn't too far off what they're saying for 12 scans. They charge really, really fast, and dang it, I had the box seen around here somewhere. But there's a lanyard that's included with it. There's a little clip. Um, there's all sorts of little fun stuff. They give you a little USB stand for it that the company includes. So it's got a whole bunch of little accessories that you get. You can buy like a silicone glove for it, but I don't really think you need it because this thing's already pretty durable. It doesn't scratch up too bad, but it is a fingerprint magnet. My only complaint, and I have a feeling that this is just because this maybe just might be a one-off thing, is that this little USB door here doesn't seem. When I first got it, it didn't really want to go in after I took it out. But I
Hmm.
have a feeling that. But on the other one, it just kind of it goes in just fine and it pops out just fine. So I think this one's just a fluke. Um,
So
but I
Riley,
mean,
when you say Bluetooth connectivity, like how big of a range do you have to from like the device it's connecting to?
they say it's 30 feet. I've gotten connected to my laptop. I've gotten roughly 20 feet or so, and I've gotten anywhere between 20 feet and 50 feet. With an iPad, I got the maximum 30 feet. So I mean, you can be pretty far away. I mean, that's a long way away for Bluetooth, and yeah. I mean, it's just,
Right, but I was thinking like another application can be if you have like a roving reference person out,
oh yeah.
and someone says, "Hey, can I check out these books right here?" And you have your barcode reader, and you go boom, 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 and they're already on their way. They don't have to sort of make
See,
another stop at the circulation desk.
See, that's where the SDK comes in, because you can just give all your people an iPod Touch. They'll just have it connected to the wireless. They can keep it in their back pocket. Don't have to take it out. You can just scan. And I think that's a lot better, and it's significantly cheaper, because you know how much those base stations for like those big Motorola scan guns are. They're like $1,000, and then each one of those big scan guns is like 500 each. So these are definitely about a there's a cheaper investment, and you
Hmm.
could just add. It's very ad hoc, and this scans into any standard program. If you don't want to do the SDK, it scans into an iPad. It's got it built in. It's got something called HID batch, which means you can disconnected from anything, you can just scan, and then when you connect to Bluetooth, you can have it auto just do a whole bunch of line breaks.
Right on.
So yeah,
Yeah, so
it's
I
nice.
mean, there's quite a few different applications more than just either
Yeah,
checking in and out books or doing inventory. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I think if if you're out in the stacks and say you have a 5-floor library or something, or the circulation desk isn't really in a central area, and you do have reference librarians on different floors, and you can go ahead and give them that without having some big huge setup, where the circulation can still control how it's being imported, how it's being processed, I mean, there's really little training that you have to give the person. You say, this is connected to this, just scan the barcode and you should be set. I mean, do you feel
yes,
it's like that easy?
yes. Hang on, let me show you. This is the. Can you see that?
Yeah.
The URL. Yeah, that's the URL for the company. Um, it's a company called Carolina Barcode. You can see there's a whole bunch of. Hang on, let me pop up a screen share here. They don't have. I'm not. I mean, it's a website. It's not. It's decent. I mean, I think it's kind of responsive. But we're not judging them on their website. We're judging them on the
Right.
product. Um, but I mean, they
And
got
then,
their SDK. Um, and they sell a cheaper one. I haven't had an opportunity to play with it. It runs about 250, um, but I don't. It doesn't have Bluetooth as far as I know, and that's really. And I don't think it's quite as high quality. But I mean, the 2D version, which is the one that has the blue line on it, and that the green line, and that runs to 499.99, and then you got your 1D version, which runs 350. And I mean, they're great. They're reliable as far as I can tell. But if in about a week you can check out my blog, and I'll have a much better review of it. But if you do choose to buy them, it would be awesome. And they like to track where they got it from, where the sale came from, and you know,
so
and all
there'll
that
be a
is
link on
great.
your website,
Um,
or will it
no,
be
they're actually
separately
using a
shown
link. They're not that fancy.
out? Okay.
If you put in you got it from Riley Childs in the comments field at the checkout, or when you call them, tell them you heard about it on the Library TechCast, um, they'll credit us for the sale,
Very cool.
which
Very
means
cool.
we can pay for our web hosting, which is going to be awesome. It's
So
expensive.
it also in their about section, they say they also do RFID.
Yes, they do all sorts of stuff. They're a contractor. If you want to learn more about their services, you can check out carolinabarcode.com, because they'll do those big scanners. These are just like their flagship products that they'll just sell to anyone. But they'll contract with you. They'll develop custom in-house systems, all that good stuff. But that is the SP 2100 2D and 1D barcode scanners. They're pretty nice. I like them a lot.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, they look pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah, they have a nice weight to them. The 1D version actually weighs a little bit more because I think it's got those lasers in it. But they got a nice weight to them. They're comfortable to use. I mean, they're nice little things.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah. And I
yes,
mean, like if you're trying to set up some kind of roving reference, or you have a cart that you're taking around campus, or if you service a multi-campus college, I mean, this is definitely something that has long battery life and something you can put in your pocket and take on the go. And if you have a cart full of books and you're over in, a different building on campus and you're checking out books, I think it's something that'll really enable you to fully service your students that way.
yes, and this is just kind of like that's the sample program that comes with the little guy there. Uh, Nothing too fancy. Okay, now out of the old, in with the new RFID. That little, those little things. those
Right.
great things.
So
Which
so our RFID would make the barcode readers um,
yeah,
redundant.
yeah, and they're definitely easy to reach. You don't have to worry about the barcodes being all torn up or anything. Um, but first, let's talk a little bit about the technology that makes RFID go. Um, Basically, RFID is, as it says, it's radio frequency identification. You've got your RFID tag, which can store any amount of information depending on the size of the tag. There's a couple different types. There is passive, there's semi-active, then there's active. And basically what the differences are is active can be read from a fairly decent distance. I think it's like 6 meters or something. Whereas passive, which is definitely a lot cheaper, gets this energy when you hold it close to the reader. There's a couple different vendors out there. 3M makes them. Um, whole bunch of different 3M makes them. Every library vendor under the sun that does checkout and that sort of equipment makes them. They're starting to come into fashion everywhere, and they're pretty great. But the dream of just being able to have your library card in one hand and your books in the other and being able just to walk straight out the door, unfortunately, is a little bit, as of right now, is far-fetched because it's a little pricey. But that's basically it in a nutshell. That's what RFID is.
Right. But I mean, even if you have active or passive, the the ability to find books, to track them, is a lot more.
Yes. Yes.
It's easier than if you just have them barcoded, because I mean, even passive ones, if you
You
have
could
the
just
reader.
walk up and down the shelves
Right, yeah,
and
and,
do your
and say,
thing.
hey, this book's out of order, or this book is not on the shelf. For sure, you could say, well, theoretically, you could tell them if it's in the library or not. I think you just have a lot more control. And when the price comes down, I think you'll see a lot more libraries adopting this technology. And as books prices increase or become more valuable, they're gonna really want to track them. And like I said on a previous show, that the Vatican Library was one of the first libraries where they had a big user population, and a lot of the books were rare, expensive, stuff like that. So if you have a big research library, a law library, a special library, a museum slash library, I think RFID in today's price is still a really valuable option.
Yeah, and I mean the biggest expense I would assume in these things is the actual conversion. Buying the hardware and then buying the tags, but then you have to have someone that goes around and either slides in a little reader into the spine or puts on a little sticker or all sorts of stuff like that. And
Right, right. Well, and I mean, for college libraries, I mean, you have a huge population of student assistants that theoretically, you could get them to do that, which would be relatively inexpensive, probably the most
yeah,
inexpensive um, that it would cost you. But I mean, I even heard there was a controversy maybe about a half a year ago where there was a public library that was dumping tons of books because they were in the process of about to implement RFID, and so they didn't want older books to be, to have to go through this process. They wanted to sort of narrow down the collection, but I guess
oh, I know
right,
that
yeah. So
experience.
the public was a little upset that they sort of serendipitously uh, did that at night.
Oh yeah, we dump books too. Um,
Well, I think
well,
every
they,
library. I think every library has to do some sort of weeding. I mean, even college
oh yeah.
libraries or research libraries. I mean, do you really need a book on Windows 98, or something like that? Where
Well, our policy is if you can't pull it up in like the Library of Congress or you can't find it in a Z39.50 search when you're cataloging it, it's not worth putting it in because,
right?
it's
Oh
you
yeah,
got
yeah.
yeah,
I
it
mean, yeah. I
takes
mean, you got to look at all the different sorts of criteria. But do you want, like a book that has some old theory that's been disproven or something like that? I mean, maybe you wanted a prominent book in that area where you could say, hey, this was a controversy at this time, and
yeah.
it sort of came out this way. But I mean, even then. Some of the stuff you have to really question, like what value does this text still have, and if it doesn't have any, like there was one like bash commands, you know. Do we really need a book on that where it's
Yeah.
easily, I mean, you can find it on an easy internet search, or um, it's more, I would say, common knowledge now than back in the 90s.
Let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information out there that we're looking at now that it's like, you can just Google yeah, bash commands are a great example of that because even the man pages, you can just type in if you're not sure what a command does, man, whatever the command is.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and I mean, like, do you need a book on Drupal, 5? Is that a
Yeah.
valuable source? I mean, and even, do you, I mean, some of the atlases that are out of date, I mean, they're good for historic purposes, but I mean, you still want current text
Yeah.
on relevant information about those countries, whereas, some libraries don't really do any weeding, I think, and some libraries, I think, overweed, and finding that balance is really sort of a sweet science.
Yeah, I don't think it's really possible to find the balance. I think it's really just more of whatever works for you because because you're never, someone can't judge the way you're weeding because they're not the ones that are doing the weeding, you know?
Right, and I mean, theoretically, only you would know your who you're
Yeah.
serving. I mean, you should know your population the best. But I'm saying within that, I mean, within the same organization, there's still a lot of different views. Whereas, the director's view obviously would be the one probably followed. But I mean, a lot of people have input into how this should be done, if this should be done, how much do we need to weed. And I think a lot of libraries are facing space problems where
Mhm.
where it has to be done, or the collection has to either stop growing or it needs to weed out and continue to grow. And I think electronic books, stuff like that, are really filling the gap to a lot of space problems. But I mean, just imagine if your library never lost a book again. I mean, RFID really um, lowers the percentage of loss that you'll be experiencing every year. And I mean, I'm not sure what public libraries loss is, but it's got to be pretty
It's
high.
significant.
Right.
I'd imagine it's significant. But one of the things that I was reading about it when I was doing my research was apparently someone was speculating, or I think this was a Wikipedia article or something, but someone was speculating that one day the public library will just kind of hide readers in the public areas, and when you walk by, and if you have a book that's overdue, it will set off an alarm, and that's scary. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. I mean, public libraries can't afford to do that.
Right, right. Well, I mean, some are pretty well funded, and they're on the cutting edge of technology and whatnot. Because I mean, the only public library I ever worked at was on up in Palos Verdes, where it was tied to a property tax, and I mean, they're their properties are $1 million properties, but there's no way they could ever reduce funding. The city couldn't. It was a completely separate entity. The library was, and I mean, they had phenomenal funding, and they provided phenomenal service and had phenomenal program. I mean, they still do have phenomenal programs, and I think that I mean, and it varies just like colleges. Some have huge library budgets, some are really supported by the faculty, and some just are not, and they're not seen as as valuable as a
Yeah.
resource. So I mean, I think if you have the money and you see a need and you really want to embrace this new technology, because I mean, you're really just pushing the technology further, so it makes it more available to more libraries, brings down the price, and I think I personally, I believe in in this technology where, I mean, just for simple loss prevention and finding missing books. I mean, it's really frustrating. I mean, I think the most frustrating thing for patrons as well as librarians is not being able to find a book in the stacks. You know, something it's either misshelved or
Yeah.
was not checked. It was not checked back in correctly, or it was not checked out correctly. And I think to minimize that negative response by patrons where they found a book in the catalog and they go to the stacks and then it's not there and then they come and get a librarian and the librarian can't find it and
Yeah.
even after a thorough search it may not turn up. I just think that that's one of the biggest disappointments for the patron to experience in a
Yeah. If you've
library.
got yeah, if you've got RFID readers in the shelves, then you can say, "Oh, this book is here."
Absolutely.
And that
I
would,
mean, you could even
yeah,
I've even seen I think there was
self-check.
yeah, well, I mean, there was one where I think a school was doing iPad or iPhone iPad app where it would actually go and try and read the RFID. I'm not sure how
How?
developed it was, but I mean, theoretically, you could, it would take you directly to the book. You know, it would give you like a little indoor map.
Library GPS. No,
Right.
but that's when you need your that's when you need your drone. Your library drone.
Right. Well, I mean,
Um,
and then that goes into the debate: should you have open stacks or closed stacks? And I mean,
yeah.
most libraries in the world have closed stacks where you can't go and browse and look and find your own books. I mean, all over Europe, they're all closed. You know, you go there and you.
You have to
And,
go. So the librarian has to go back and get your book for you, right? Or you have to
you're
put a
right.
hold
Right.
on it or
No, no,
something.
right. Yeah. So you would go up and say, "Hey, I want these 5 books to the counter," and they would go back and get them for you.
Yeah, and I think that's actually one of the neat things, at least in Koa, that I've seen is there's a feature called the shelf browser, so you can have closed stacks, and then you can have the experience of browsing the shelf.
Right.
Um,
Well, I mean, there's been millions and millions of dollars into trying to recreate the browsing experience online. And I mean, I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, I don't think they've been fully successful, but there's a lot of programs that'll, try and mimic the experience to the best of you can online. But I mean, actually, like going and walking through the stacks and looking at the different books. I mean, personally, I like doing that. And that I mean, it probably has more to do with how I grew up and that's what I did as a child and I continued that in college where you get a section and you go and look at the different books in that section and then you find one instead of finding a particular book online you find more
yeah,
where the section is.
yeah. And this is just a little shelf browser that's in Koa.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, I still have to get it set up because my collection codes are totally out of whack. Um, and there's the occasional nonfiction book in this. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's interesting how that experience is going to be migrated. Hopefully, they're going to figure out a good way to put that experience on the interwebs
Right.
and
And I mean, if you can
make it
if you can
available.
merge that with your online resources, if
Yeah.
you have a big ebook collection and you can merge all that where they're browsing everything at once, I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal of sort
I
of
mean,
online browsing.
because I sure hope no one's imagining something where it's like a semi-realistic 3D world where you're walking down there and then you're staring at the shelves. Because I mean, that's not, no.
Well,
Oh, and I went,
I think you're sort
yeah.
of saying like a Second Life type.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
exactly. That
there
one.
was a lot of library schools that had. I mean, the one I went to, San Jose State, they had built out a library, a campus, everything in Second Life. I don't know what
I
happened
know
to
the
it, but
public library. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to Second Life.
it's
I
still
mean, that
there. It's
was,
still there. That's only like
yes.
the hardcore. Yeah, there was an article I think in Wired about how there's these people still hanging on. Because I mean, some people really invest a lot of money in that.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's insane because I think it was the public library down here for a while. Um, they had a Second Life thing, and it was like when you went up to the library, they wouldn't let you in if you had books overdue or something. I mean, it was pretty cool. And then and then there's the library that built their library in Minecraft.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
they set
mean,
up a
that's pretty.
Minecraft server, and then they And I just thought that was pretty neat. But I mean, that's bringing the whole browsing experience online, and you can grab your book off of the shelf in Minecraft. That would be pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of just have some sort of electronic book. Well, okay, so those were the benefits, and I mean, I don't really see too many drawbacks from RFID besides the price and the cost of
Yeah.
implementation, the hardware, the infrastructure, and I mean, I think over time that'll start to come down. If anybody out there has implemented RFID or are thinking about it, we'd love to interview you and sort of talk about your process. You can always contact us at the Library TechCast website, librarytechcast.com. I mean, sorry, yeah, .com.
And send an email to info@librarytechcast.com, and that should go to both me and Jeff. I just need to make sure that I have, yeah, that should go to both me and Jeff shortly, later today. And you can hit us up, let us know what you think of the show, let us know if you have a topic for the show. And next week we'll be continuing our series on library automation with something.
Two
Don't know
weeks,
what
two
yet.
weeks, two
Two
weeks,
weeks. 2 weeks. I forgot. We're bi-weekly now.
bi-weekly.
Um,
Yeah, so
bi-weekly.
we'll have some sort of new topic about library automation next
Yeah.
week. I'm still sort of in limbo. I start my new position on Monday, so I'm
Yeah.
sort of relaxing. I went to the beach a lot this week. No projects really. What are you up to, Riley?
I'm as I sit in my living room, as you can see in the background. I'm surrounded. You can't see it here, but I'm surrounded by stacks of buckhorn bins, and I'm cataloging books. And after we're done here, I'm gonna go back to cataloging books. I've got 2,000 left to do. Hopefully, I'll finish by August 10th. And then I can let my volunteers loose to go around with these guys and inventory all the books and organize them on the shelves. And by August 15th, we're supposed to have the entire project wrapped up, ready to go. We'll see if that happens.
So
I
when
hope it
when
happens.
does school start for you?
August 23rd.
Okay, so
We're going to close.
that'll be your grand opening.
That will be my grand. August 22nd will be our grand opening. But I
All
mean, we
right.
got this. We're about to. On Monday evening, we're gonna go and we're gonna get the self-checkout kiosk all set up. It's an exciting time. We actually we spent last night. We were in there in the library and we were moving around all the bookcases. And we were actually gonna put them all up against the walls, but it turns out that they don't separate. So the stacks are like they're set together. So there's a shelf here and a shelf here, and they don't separate in half. So that was a ruined dream, unfortunately. 'Cause it would have looked awesome. It would have made it a big open space. But I mean, we moved around some stacks and made it a little bit more open. And I want to get some beanbag chairs. I don't know. I want to make it a little bit better. I want to hopefully get some books. We're doing banned book week this year. Um, so we're gonna try and do that. But yeah, I mean, that's what's going on with me. I'm li library 24/7.
Right
Uh,
on, right on. I will be soon, starting Monday.
I
I'm sure
hate books. I swear. I mean, it's like no, actually, I don't hate books. I hate books that don't have ISBNs on them or something you can scan and then pull up all the information. Um, because or like these stupid Scholastic books. It's like really
Yeah, yeah. I
you
mean,
don't you register a single barcode and then put it on 15 different books. It's not right.
yeah, I don't think
But
there's any
yeah,
real industry standard on that, is there?
well, there's a no, there's an ISBN registry. You have to register your ISBN. You have to pay. It's like $350 for an ISBN number. Um, but they're too cheap. Yeah, I know. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me. Working on some programming. Hopefully, I'm trying to get it so that these things will hook into Koa on like an Android platform. We migrated off of 365 officially on Thursday. That was fun. I really like it. Yeah, I mean, I've been really busy. I have a lot on my plate right now, but Hopefully, it will die down ironically once the school year starts.
Right on.
But yeah,
You got
that's
to
the
keep
story
us updated too.
of it. Okay. Now, where you can find us. You can find me at RileyChilds.net, and on Twitter, I'm at RowdyChildren. And where can we find Jeff?
I'm on Twitter at LA Library Man, and online you can hit me up at jeffreystevensable.org. Yeah. I don't think your volume's working. Hello?
Oh, sorry, I hit my
Oh,
mute
there you go.
button. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Um,
no.
okay, so did you hear the part about the Windows Phone?
No, no, no.
Okay, yeah, yeah, so you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/the Library Techcast. You can find us on Twitter, we're at Library Techcast. You can find our website, librarytechcast.com, where we have the audio versions. You can find us on Stitcher Radio, which is a great little application. You can also find us on TuneIn Radio. We're on as many audio applications and web radio applications as they will let us be on. So just search for us. Hopefully, when we're wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. Um, Thank you for coming to join us. And for the Library Techcast, I'm Riley Childs.
I'm Jeff Sable.